This video I will show you how I created the first WordPress plugin, which is Facebook link post. I have left the source code in the description. If you see on the home page there are posts, and just below the post you will see the Facebook link which we have created. If I enable it, the Facebook link will be available on all posts. You can see the color is green now. If you wish to change, you can do it. If I make it red, and now it's red. Likewise, I can change the link to the profile as well. And if I untick the show in post, show in feeds, it will not show in the home page, but it will show in the individual page of the blog. If I get into the individual page of blog and scroll down to the end of the blog post, you will see the Facebook link. And if I enable it, you will see it on both the section, which is on the home page as well. In WordPress, if we say, we will get on index.php and single.php. These are the steps which we are going to follow. We have installed WordPress and I have created some posts. Now let's directly get into the folder structure. Now in this section we are going to see how to show the plugin in the plugin page. So I have created some post. So let me create a folder structure first. And I would like to show this our plugin on this plugin page. Fine. Now open your project in the Visual Studio Code. And you know the plugin will be inside the WP contents. Inside the WP content, we would like to create a folder that will hold your plugin. So that plugin name is footer hyphen link, and inside the plugin folder you need to create another file, so that will explain WordPress about the plugin details. Now along with the file name, we need to add two more folder, which will be for CSS and for JavaScript, and another for and another is simply an include file that will include the script and CSS, and I'll show you in a minute, don't worry about that. Now let me get into our project, which is first plugin, and in that first plugin we have only two plugins available. So let's create our own. So as I said, this comment is going to give the information about your plugin. So I have modified the plugin name, description, version and author, and this is required to stop access directly from the path or from the URL. So if I refresh, you should see your plugin. Let me delete the old one which is not required. So if you see, this is the plugin which we have created. Now let's include a script and JS file. So if I get into the backend or source, you should see the two files is getting appended. This is a demo project. Now I'm getting into my current project, which is first plugin. So in this first plugin project, we need to add the files related to the plugin on the index page. How we are going to do it? Let's create a script on the script folder. Let me rename it to JS, and let's create a new file, style.css, on CSS folder. So this is the style sheet, and on the JS, let me create a file called main.js. and that will be JavaScript. Now let us load these two files. In the file called Facebook link scripts.php. So here I have left the source code in the description, don't worry about that. We need to include these two files, which is CSS and JS file, on the scripts.php file. Don't forget to include the script.php on the index page of the plugin, which is this one. In the include we have Facebook link script, so this file will be loaded on the index file. So let's include the script and JS file here. I have included the script and JS file, so this is the temporary name I'm giving it, and that file name location I'm passing it as a second parameter. So now we need to pass this function into a hook, which is wp enqueue script, so that will load the plugin. So if I activate it, and you should see, don't worry about the error, it is because of the extra space we have given. If you remove it, it will go on its way. Fine. Now let me show you whether our JavaScript and CSS file are appended with the help of the hook, and yes, it is appended. If you click and see, it should say there is an error. Let me see what it is. I don't think there's an error. It's footer, not Facebook. Fine. Now if I refresh again and click, it should get you to the file created, CSS file and JS file. You can see I have added UI monk style sheet, UI monk main.js. That is working. And now in this section on post, we need to add a static content of like us on Facebook. So let's get into our project. So this is what we are going to see in this section. So we need to create another file on include that will output the HTML in the front page. So we'll name it as Facebook link content.php. So now we are going to create a function, and that function will modify the wp content. So if you have followed the theme tutorial of ours, you would be knowing what is wp content. It's not hyphen, it's underscore content. So let me add the font awesome icon on the header section so that we can get access to the font awesome. So we are modifying the content and appending the HTML. These are the HTML we are appending with the content. So if I comment it and just give a static text called hello, so this whole section will replace the wp content underscore content data. So this text will be replaced in place of content. So what do I mean by that content? You will see in a minute. We need to include it. I forgot to include on the index file of plugin. So if I refresh it, the content will be replaced with the text. Now we don't want to replace, we want to append it. So that's the reason I'm just concatenating with the help of dot. Now if you see, along with the content, you will get the text we have appended. Fine. Now if I refresh, this is the static HTML which we are getting, and that's working fine. Now we need to make this dynamic. So let's create a link in the setting tab. So in the setting tab you should see a link called Facebook link. So let's create this in this section. Let's get into our project, which is first plugin. So you see in our project we don't have a link, so we need to add the link. So let's create another file which will have the suffix called settings, facebook link settings .php, and there let me create a file. It is not allowing me. Let me delete the mistakenly created file. So the file name is facebook link settings.php. Let me add it into our index file. So here in this file we will let know the WordPress that there should be a link on the setting tab. So with the help of add option page, this is a name, and so this is a description, and this is a slug you can see on the URL, and this is a function what it should do when I click on the link of the setting tab. So let's create the function. So that function will simply say hello, and with the help of this function what it will happen is a link will be appended on the setting tab. Once I click on the link, that will give you hello, and this is really important, register setting. So that will have option group and option. The option and group and option is really important for the input field which we will be creating on the page. Once I click on the setting tab link, fine. As I said, please note the option group and option is really important. Semicolon is missing. On the setting tab, get rid of the link and you should see hello, and the slug is also changed. Now if you see in this section we will be creating the HTML, and that HTML will be created with the help of option group and option. Now let's create a backend form for inserting the HTML. So this is the form which we would be creating in this section. Once I click on the link, so this section we would be creating it. A checkbox, an input field button that will hold the link of the color, and the checkbox again, and then the submit button. So in our current project we simply have hello is also not there. I think I have removed it. Fine. Now let's add the HTML. With the help of option group, we should define whether this is the option group, and whatever comes below will be the option. Ob start and get ob, so that we can write HTML in between the PHP. The wrap class is the WordPress class. So if I refresh, I have created a form. The option tag is mandatory. Option.php is mandatory, and as I said, I have added the field group which I have defined here. Inside the field group, I would be having multiple options, so that options will be fl underscore setting. As I said, the fl underscore setting, I have passed the enable, and if it is checked, I have simply added a php tag. If it is checked, enable the option. Let me create a variable, so that variable will be useful to pass to the content.php. So let's create some other tab. As I said, the option name. Now this time we'll give another option name called profile URL or Facebook URL or Facebook profile link. And this is a text. We don't need the check condition here. So to add a class to the input field, we can have regular text. Fine. Let's add a placeholder to it, Facebook link. So it is just because of the Facebook, it is just because of the option group and option we have created. We're going to work with the option name. And now again, finally the checkbox which we have already created above. If the value is 1, that means set the post field. That's what I'm saying. And finally the submit button. The setting is saved. That means this FL option is saved. And now let's implement the value to the website. Just like if I click here, it should load to the new file, new link. So if I insert red and refresh the page, the color should be red. The same way, if I make it green, the color should be green. And if I enable it, you should not see the Facebook link on the post. Fine, let's get into our project. The settings are getting saved, but we want to display these details, this input field value, to the content.php. In this section I have already created, on the index file we have created a global, variable which is fl option. And now if I type and save it, you should see the value, because the global variable holds that value, and even after page refresh it is going to persist. You can see even after page refresh it is there. Now on the content.php we need to implement the form field value over here. So with little if else condition, let's define the global variable again here. With the help of if else condition, we would be displaying the footer link, Facebook link on single.php or home. I have left the source code in the description. So if I disable it, there's an error. There are two curly bracket, I guess. Yeah, we need to remove it. So if so let me see, if I get into my home site, I don't see the Facebook link. So if I enable it, I should see the home link. I should see the Facebook link on the home page. So if I disable it, I should not see the Facebook link on each post. If I enable it, and if I remove it on the index page, I should see the footer link, Facebook link, only on the single.php, not on the index.php. I would highly recommend to follow the theme which I have created, then come here, so it will be easy to understand what I am talking about. Let's give the style, and we know the color. Whatever we pass on the input field, we need to access it and pass this to the style attribute. The same way I need to give to the anchor tag as well. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for listening. It is also in the description.